because that number keeps changing, but it's somewhere between 250,000 and 300,000. Quantum Leap is actually a themed club in the sense that it follows all the rules and regulations of Toastmasters, but it's centered around a specific theme. It has some unique traits. The first is that it usually features a keynote. The second is that it is centered around science, technology, humanity, environment. In short, it is themed around the idea that humanity should rediscover and champion its interest in science and technology if we are to solve our problems. The third unique aspect is something that is completely unique to us. And I can guarantee that it is not practiced anywhere else on the planet because one of our founding members, PTM Sudarshan, who will be joining us very soon, came up with this feature, and it's called a modular evaluation. Now, many advanced clubs around the world actually feature panel evaluations. That is nothing unique. Multiple evaluators to a speech, various components, various iterations. But the modular evaluation system is the only one that divides a speech into four main components, which is visual, auditory, perceptive, and language and structure. And what that effectively does is that it evaluates each and every speech in terms of whether it's ready for a contest or not, in addition to being evaluated according to the project objectives. So, without further ado, let's move on to the meeting. But before that, let's have our guest introduce herself. Toastmaster Nazis Azim, would you like to introduce yourself?
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Hope I'm audible.
Assalam.
Yes, you are.
Okay, so I am basically part of the Contour Islamabad Toastmasters Club, and it's my first time being present in some online group, an online Toastmasters Club, and I really look forward to a great experience here as well, because I personally enjoy the on-site meetings of Toastmasters a lot. Now it's time to experience an online one too.
Mr. President, I do have one guest with me. You are mute. Mr. President, you are mute.
Yeah.
With me, my granddaughter is, what is your name? Tell loudly. Tell loudly.
Yeah, am I audible now?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir. Sir, please,
Yes.
you're more than welcome to introduce your special guest.
So tell your name, please. Tell. Her name is Muntaha Absar. She is in preschool. How old you are? She is 5 years old. What is the name of your school? Christian Model High School. Over to Mr. President.
Thank you. Welcome, future Toastmaster Muntaha Sir. And may you enjoy the meeting. We also have another guest.
President Talha, can I introduce myself?
Oh, yeah, you're now just like a guest.
I am like a guest
for
today
yeah,
because I'm in
yeah.
Singapore. I'm neighbor of DTM
Yeah.
Savarna today. But
Yeah.
I will be having challenge because I'm on a tour. I do have a guest with me.
Oh, wow.
Searching.
MashaAllah, MashaAllah.
But I'm going
Once
to be
again,
here. I'm here for DTM Savarna's keynote. But I will request if DTM Savarna can take over my small roles in the meeting. That would be great. Thank you so much.
I don't see anything
And
to
I wish a
collect.
great meeting to all of you.
To use. And once you're here to
Great.
turn them.
Great to have you, DT Amiram. And of course, it's great to see your husband. Although he should know that we know more about him than he knows about himself, thanks to your speeches. I hope he knows that. So, great to see you. And we also have two very special guests. Toastmaster Latif, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Greetings. Actually, I'm just setting up.
Anything to collect.
I'm just setting up my system, so give me a few minutes. But
All right.
for sure,
No
I'll be
worries,
there
no
for the
worries.
meeting.
Oh, great. Can you also take up a role of a language evaluator, if possible?
Pardon me, sir. Role for the evaluator for who? Speaker?
Potentially a couple more roles if needed.
Sure.
The-
Available. Just
okay.
chat. I'll just set up the system and I'll be on.
All right. Okay, great. Language evaluator, Toastmaster Imran's prayers have been answered. Imran, also pray for us, please. We also have one long-time returning member, Toastmaster Imran Chaudhry. Imran Chaudhry, would you like to introduce yourself? Also one of our founding members. Okay, we'll move ahead. And now, yes. All right. Don't worry, Toastmaster Imran Chaudhry. We were just asking you to introduce yourself. And so starting with the meeting now. And today's theme is, of course, heavy is the crown. What does heavy is the crown mean? Heavy is the crown means that if you have a crown, it is easier to get to the top. It is easier to get a crown than to maintain it. And the toughest part is to demonstrate the values and the abilities continuously, day in and day out. Because these days, it's not just enough to have a position. So actually, it is more important that you prove yourself worthy of that position. And we've all been in leadership positions at some point. And that means that we've all experienced that to some degree, pressure that comes with it. Again, when you are on a leadership position, whether you're on a leadership position in your personal life, in your professional life, or in Toastmasters, there is this constant nagging 24/7 pressure that no matter what you do and what you write, what you say, should always live up to that position and should honor that position. So that is the theme of today's meeting. Getting to the top is the easy part. Staying there, especially not just administratively, but in the hearts and minds of people. That is the toughest. We have seen so many celebrities around the world who have made it to the top and then suffered an even faster downfall. So much so that today their name is synonymous with downfall rather than their celebrity status. Let's start with Napoleon and the Battle of Waterloo. That's the thing he's most famous for. And history is cruel, the world is cruel, because once that happens, people do not recall your achievements. It's just human nature. People get on the social media to complain about things, not to praise things. So that's how life is. And that's what we'll be exploring today. We have a couple of role players. Our timer will be Toastmaster Imran Rana, and our language evaluator will be Toastmaster Latif Mansoor Ali. Latif is setting up his device and he'll start performing the role as soon as he's online. I took the liberty of proposing a word of the day, which is purpose. But Latif, if you wish to assign a different word of the day, that's completely under your authority. Without further ado now, and that is something that we are fond of saying, because whenever somebody says that without further ado, that means that a lot of ado has already been made. So we better get on. It's not as if they're wishing to save time. They're just willing to make up for the time they've already spent making ado. But fortunately, we seem to be within time. So congratulations to the president and the TMOD, who happen to be the same person. So, and DTMSF, I would like to point out that we are 3 minutes ahead of agenda at this point. Thanks to our founding president, we have this tradition of always starting a meeting on time and trying to stay on time. I cannot be more thankful to DTMSF for inculcating that culture in content. We may not be able to achieve it every time, but we always try our best. So for our keynote speaker, we have someone who I did not ask for an introduction because I did not need it. DTM Swarna Kalyan is an amazing individual. She is one of the charter members of Quantum Leap. She has served in all three trio positions in District 80, Singapore. She just finished a spectacular era of her leadership in District 80 by serving as the district director. And professionally, of course, she is a financial analyst, but we know her to be an amazing speaker and an excellent source of insight into multiple cultures, from her home country to her adopted country and to everyone else. We've had so many memorable keynotes, and one more thing that emerges is that she happens to be a foodie as well. She's all that and a lot more. Without further ado, let's put our hands together for DTM Swarna Kalyan for her keynote, Crossroads, Where Passion Meets Purpose, Secrets of Success in District 80. Where passion meets purpose, Secrets of Success of District 80, DTM Swarna, Toastmaster Imran. The keynote is 25 to 30 minutes, and we'll have 5 more minutes for Q&A. So everyone, please put your hands together for DTM Swarna.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, DTM Talha, Club President, TMOD, all in one today. And lovely to see all our fair members here listening to this session here. Thank you so much. Wishing you a wonderful Saturday, morning, afternoon. It's afternoon here. And it's a pleasure to be here on sharing my journey. When DTM Talha asked me about the topic that I would like to share, for me, the first thing that came to mind was, my journey in Toastmasters as a leader, and what have I achieved, and what can I share with you all, that y'all can take it forward or take some nuggets that y'all can apply not only in Toastmasters, but also in real life, at workplace, and in family, in everything else that we do as a leader. So that's what I plan to share with you. But why passion with purpose? I realize that you can, in Toastmasters especially, or any of the voluntary organizations that we may take up leadership, we can be a leader and not do anything about it. We could have a title, we can enjoy the title, and after a term, leave it without making any impact at all. And nobody is going to say anything. Yeah, maybe the members will say, oh, it was such a waste and things like that, but it will be forgotten. Okay. But what really makes a difference is when there is a leadership that is given to us, what do we learn from it and how do we make an impact? And definitely both passion and purpose have to be in line. Only then we can really achieve. And that's what I found in my journey in Toastmasters as a leader. Just give me a minute. Somehow my system doesn't seem to work. Okay. How many of you know this map here in Toastmasters, right? So are you able to find out where Singapore is? That small red dot that you can see is where Singapore is. In fact, I had to create a dot. It's not seen, visible at all. But let me show something else that which is different. Is that if you look at the Toastmasters dashboard, I have taken this number from last term. This is organized according to the size of the district. When we say size of the district, it means that in terms of the club numbers and membership payments. And if you see there, Singapore is number 3rd in the world. Okay. And the first two that are there are Africa, the districts in Africa, okay, Northern Africa, Southern Africa. And now they have split into 4 districts. So technically, as of today, District 80 in this term is the number 1 in terms of the size. A small red dot is the biggest district in the world with 211 clubs this term. So what makes us do whatever we do, and why is it that what are the challenges that come with it? If you look at the other 3 that I have put there, is the number 1, number 2, and number 3 districts in the world last term. And that's Kuwait, a district in India, and a district in China. Okay, and they are much smaller than what District 80 is. Okay, and they are able to achieve certain growth mainly because what happens is 1% of 10 versus 1% of 100 is very different. So when we have to go on a distinguished path, what happens is we have to create a 1% growth in 200 clubs, whereas someone else is doing that same 1% in 100 clubs or lesser clubs. So it's easier in a way to achieve certain targets as compared to us. So when I took it up, what I wanted to do was, I told myself the minimum we should achieve is distinguished district, which means that I don't have to have a loss of club, and to make sure that we can achieve the membership payments. 10,000 plus membership payments. And how do we achieve that? And that is where the challenge was, because chartering clubs, we can actually do a lot. Okay, it's very easy to charter clubs. But retaining clubs and retaining membership is where the challenge is. And every year, this is what District 80 has been facing. The district was a distinguished district was in 2016. Okay, so every year we have been trying, and somehow we are not able to hit the membership numbers. Hitting the membership club numbers, hitting the distinguished club members are not a problem, but hitting the membership payments was a big problem because of how much we have to grow to hit that percentage. So this, when I became the district director, so I had to think of how am I going to address this? And I used this particular model called as the value proposition canvas on what can we create, how can we create value in the district, which will translate into what we can achieve in the district. So when I did that was to ask questions. Okay, so the first one was, what are the functional, social, emotional reasons why Toastmasters join us? So we had to look at why would someone join Toastmasters? We had to understand that from the point, because we want members, right? So how do we do that? And then ask the questions on what are the gains? What will a member gain from joining? And what are the pain points when members don't don't renew? Okay, what are those pain points, and how does it translate into us as leaders, and what we can do to create that gain, create the pain, look at the pain points and come up with the services that will help us address the cause or the gains and all that we had to discuss. So when I sat down and did this, I realized that we had to address many levels of club operation, member retention, what can keep the member coming, and how do we attract new members. So we came up with they call it as I call this as the touchstone. So what is it that we can sort of benchmark to make sure that every time we want to do something meaningful, can we achieve it? So keeping the touchstone in mind, I came up with this initiative along with the trio. And what was that? Was that we need to concentrate on certain things that we need to do properly. One is conduct effective trainings, because when trainings are done well, then the club officers go back and do it. And how do we know that the trainings are done well? Regular, consistently asking for feedback. Was this good enough? Can we improve on it? Every training segment that we did, we went on asking for feedback. And is there something that we can do better? Can it be, we actually did most of it online in person, but then we also explored, does it make sense to do online? Does it save a lot of time and resources when we do online? So these were the questions that we asked. How do we practice time management? Today, Talhaji actually said, starting a meeting on time and ending on time is a very important thing about Toastmasters. And that we needed to practice in every meeting that the district had. Practical time management. How do we practice that? So that when we do it, the clubs also learn and say, hey, yes. So when there was a club officers training, we made sure if we say we are starting at 10, we start at 10. We are not waiting for people to trickle down and say, oh, okay, we only have a few. No, we start at 10. And when we started to do that, what happened was people knew we were serious about our time, and people started to come on time for the training. And that sort of gave a very beautiful way of starting it off. And we listened to grievances of the club. What did I do? I created a calendar, and I said, this is where you can come, you book a calendar with me, you can come and tell me whatever issues that you have. Okay. And in a week, I gave 4 days in a week for 2 hours each to whoever wants to make a grievance with me. It could be just a misunderstanding in the club. It could be something major, like, oh, the division director said this, or the area director said this, and I'm very upset about it. Or it could be a conflict between a division director and an area director. Whatever it was just to listen to you one-to-one and understand what the problem was. And this calendar really worked so well. In fact, it kept me busy throughout the term because I had everyone coming in. Sometimes there were people just booking my calendar. And when I asked them, okay, what is it that I can help you with? They'll say, oh, no, I just wanted to have a chat with you. It was because nobody so far has ever said, hey, you can have a chat with the DD. And so therefore, I took this opportunity to just have a chat with you. And thank you for the opportunity that someone is listening to us. And that was very important. As a leader, we need to listen. And just having that calendar open to people to say, hey, you can come, I'm willing to listen to anything that you say, was very, very useful. Okay. And as a district, we know the best way to appreciate someone is through incentives. One of the biggest plus points of being a big district is that we are having good resources to support our clubs. That is the plus point of it. So we really had extensive incentives, right from renewals to even new members and new clubs, and the list went on. Okay, we realized that from 2022, 2023 to 2023, 2024, many clubs had an issue of going from online to in person. And they got back to us and said, you know what happened? I can't find my banner. I can't find my lectern. I cannot find my gavel. Oh, we don't have any ribbons left. I don't know what happened. All these are common problems. I'm sure all of you can connect to that, right? So this was the issue. So we said, okay, fine. You renew, not one term, but renew till September of that term, and we will give you the whole club supply. And it worked because clubs needed it. We were busy doing club banners for all the clubs that had renewed. We were busy giving them lecterns, giving them ribbons. And I think TI was very happy with us ordering so many ribbons and so many resources that they saw that we were spending our resources quite well. The district funds were well spent. Okay. And interaction between teams. We had many events that we could interact with each other. Just as a district trio, as a district and the division directors, or even the district, the DEC, which we call as the district, the senior officers plus the division directors plus the area directors. Just that. And then, of course, open to all clubs and say, okay, come, let's have something where you can come in. So I had 2 town halls. One was in person and one in online. And I said, come, listen to what we are doing, and you can come and share your views. And that really got people to come. And they felt somehow that they had an opportunity to meet another Toastmaster. They had an opportunity to just spend some time without understanding the district better. So this were some of the things. But then I also realized that we needed to give a vision board. And this was my vision board. Everywhere I went, I kept telling, I'm a numbers person. And for me, numbers really speaks. Okay, so I told them, for me, I talk about numbers. But then what I want you to understand is these numbers are meaningful for you and your club and the district. So I said 120, 100. So everywhere I went, I told people 120, 100. And what was this 120, 100? One means that every VPE will work towards helping a member complete one level. And so we went back to say pathways. Please, if you have not adopted pathways, please go and adopt it. Make sure we can be 100% pathways adopted. Was I successful? Not really. I was 86% successful, meaning that we had 86% of our members who had adopted pathways. We still have about 14% plus members who have not taken. And they are basically, there is a resistance from moving from traditional to the new. So what happens? How do we do that? That's something that we need to understand. Why is it that people who did traditional path does not want to pick up pathways? So they want to be Toastmasters, but they don't want to do pathways. So that's something that we need to work on. But we did manage. And every time I went everywhere, I used to ask them, okay, what is my vision? And it became like sort of a, what do you call it? Whenever people saw me, they used to say, I know you're 120, 100. And it became like that. So everyone, it sunk in from the division director to the area director to the clubs to the members that we are going 120-100. That means we need 20 member clubs. We need everyone to do at least one level of pathway, and we will aim for 100% pathways. And so that became and the hashtag that we used was, I said, distinguished by choice. We are not forcing you at all to be distinguished. But if you want to be distinguished, let us be by choice, we do it. And whichever club wants to be distinguished, let us know, we will help you do it. So they did not feel the pressure of, hey, the district wants to be distinguished, therefore they're putting pressure on us. No, it has to be from the club to us. So we said distinguished by choice. Whoever wants to be distinguished, let us know, we will help you. And it really helped well. So the overall the mission was to to focus on communication, focus on collaboration, and focus on consistency. So whatever we did, we wanted to do these three continue throughout the term. So what really happened was, of course, we saw results. Okay, we had member interactions. This was featured in the Toastmasters magazine when we celebrated our 99th anniversary. It was open to all members. We said it's a breakfast meeting. Just come over, have breakfast with us, and whoever can be, about 200 odd members came. It's not a big portion, but people came and they really enjoyed. And we had a cake cutting, we had some breakfast, we had some gathering together. We had many people taking pictures, and they were very happy that they were celebrating something like this. And then we had the end of the term, we had the Hall of Fame, where we were celebrated for over 300 plus members, either as a member, as a leader, as a club, as a division director, area director. We all celebrated in a very wonderful way and to gather and to create that interaction. As a leader, we are always told, right? Show the way. So how do I show the way? Was that we created outreach. And I made sure that any outreach that was done, I was there personally to be there. Okay, whether it was a Toastmasters booth in the Rotary Convention, or whether it was in some other speech that we were giving, we did many outreach events. We partnered with an organization called E2I. E2I means Employability and Employment Institute, where this organization helps. It's part of the union, and it helps members find jobs. And we went and presented to them and said that if someone has lost a job, it means that they need to improve on their communication skills. And we will give those communication skill lessons free of cost. And so we partnered with them and created an outreach. And when they saw people speak about it, we had many members come and join us and say, hey, we would like to join a Toastmasters club because I want to improve my communication skill. We partnered with the SHRI, which is Singapore HR Institute. And we said, we want HR to realize why Toastmasters is important, why communication skills is important. We would like to partner with you and take it forward and reach out to the organizations and say that we can offer courses. And all this is pro bono. We know Toastmasters is very good at giving things free. Okay, we have excellent speakers, we have excellent leaders who can do a fantastic presentation. And we did this, and really, really it worked. It worked so well that we had 1,900 new members join during last term. We also partnered with the organization called as Singapore Chinese Chamber of Commerce. What Chinese Chamber of Commerce has and we have in common is that we have Chinese as a language in pathways. So I spoke to them and I said, can we create a competition where we will encourage people to speak in Mandarin, okay, which as Toastmasters we can do. And it is open to public. We will create this contest. You will host it. You pair the thing. We will give you the trophies. We will bring the judges. We will help you conduct the contest, but you give us the venue, you give us the publicity, all that is done by you. So in that partnership, what happened was it was so well received that it was the first bilingual. We call it bilingual. So what was the contest was that you not only speak in Mandarin, but the same topic you need to speak in English as well. So we are telling that communication is important, but you also need to speak in English as well. So there was a impromptu, like a table topic question, an impromptu topic was given. 3 minutes was given for this person to speak, and both in Mandarin and in English, people judged them and they got awards. So this was done, and now Singapore Chamber of Commerce tells me that Swarna, we are going to do this as an annual event, which means that it is promoting Toastmasters, it's promoting communication, and we are hoping it will bring continuous stream of new members into the district. So what are the lessons that I have learned? This is the number one lesson, okay? Early bird catches the worm. Why do I say that? What I found was that membership is a challenge in Toastmasters, especially for my district, because it's very, very large. So what we did was we went on to say that any club that renews their renewal, not for just October, but also for April, will get incentives. So we loaded very heavily on the incentives, and we did that. And because of that, what happened was that we saw renewals coming in much earlier, and therefore we could get the numbers that we wanted to get instead of wait for April and see whether we are getting the numbers. So last term, what happened was by about October or November, when we saw out of the 10,000 payments, I had about 7,800 payments. So I knew that we only had to address the 3,000 payments in the rest of the 6 months or 7 months. So that was a big lesson. And now this term, the DD has decided to do the same strategy. And as of today, District 80 is, in terms of renewal, of course, dashboard is not updated, but as of the last update, we are still the number one in renewals. We have crossed the 50% mark. We have crossed the 50% mark, which means that we don't have to wait. And does that mean that everyone did renewal? No. What happened was there were clubs which had collected money, they paid up and they said, oh, we want to pay up, give us incentives. So that seems to work. Okay. Now, lesson number 2 is, this is a story that I want to share with you. What happened was I took charge in July, but in June, I got a love letter from TI, and they said that the Singapore government has decided to put in the GST for Toastmasters. Okay, and if you remember last term, we also had a fee increase. You remember that? It was going from 45 to 60, which meant that for Singapore, we had an extra jump that we had to face. One was from 45 to 60, we have to, as leaders, we need to see how do we show value in whatever we give. And then we have to talk about this GST as well. Okay. So what happened was, when I went to Bahamas in August, I met up with the CFO of Toastmasters. I had a chat with the CEO. I had a chat with the IP. I had whoever I could talk to. I made sure that they all hear me loud and clear, that if you're doing GST, you have to do something for me. And what was that something that I asked? I said, I want your system to open up renewal for the next term. If you remember, normally it is only 2 terms, right? Okay. I said, I want it open for 3 terms. That means in July, if someone wants to renew, they should be able to renew till September. I want that open. They said, no, it's not possible. Then I spoke to Radhi Spears and I said, you're an IT person. You tell me why it's not possible. I spoke to CFO and I said, you're a finance person. Why is it you don't want money? Our business is membership. Our income is membership. Why is it that you don't want money? I'm ready to give you money, but your system does not allow me to give. And after so much of speaking and talking, friends, if you notice now, Toastmasters opened up to September of the next month. So that was our story. And for me, I feel very, very accomplished because My crying for GST, my crying for all this has helped the whole world. Now, India is going through GST and they have adopted this early renewal because they feel before GST comes, at least I can renew till September. Okay, so there are many countries which are going through these GST now. And so with this, I'm sure that was something. So I call it as cry if you have to. And of course, the third lesson is the Pareto's principle, which is 20%. Concentrate on what will give you effort for the 80% results. And in Toastmasters, we sometimes waste a lot of time trying to do things, right? So we need to focus on where the issue is. Each district is different. I do not know what 122's challenges are, okay? But I think if membership is the challenge, then focus on membership. Spend your time on membership. And when you say focus on membership, what is it? Go back to the club and see whether they're having a quality meeting. Ask them, hey, have you done your moments of truth? Ask them, how can you improve your club quality so that whoever wants to renew wants to continue in your club? And that really worked in District 80. Okay, so this 80-20 rule really worked for us because we went back to each and every club struggling with membership and asked them, we would like the AD to do moments of truth for you. Okay, some of them refused, but some of them agreed. And therefore, we managed to hit those clubs that were open to it. We helped them with their membership. We saw many clubs that struggled between 13 to 20, right? We saw them grow to 20 plus. And that was my 120-100 as well. So that in a way was how we built up that, the 13 to, we had about 40 clubs which were between 13 and 19. So we tried to tell them, we will give you an incentive. We'll recognize you in Hall of Fame, but you have to do this. And what is it we want you to do is you have to do moments of truth. You have to come help us, the AD, to reach out to you. We will do open house, whatever it is, but we will help you build your membership. And it really helped. Okay, so concentrate on where the issue is instead of looking at everything, right? Boil down to just one thing, work on it, and it really worked. It worked for us. So therefore, it was something. But I also want to share a funny fact about this 80-20, which has nothing to do with friends. Whatever you do as a leader, you will always find 20% of people finding fault with you. That's something I also found with 80-20. You can never please anybody. So as a leader, we need to understand that while the majority may agree to you, there will always be that 20% who will give us the problem. And as a leader, I learned. Initially, I used to get very upset. I'm doing so much and people don't understand and everything. Then I realized I'm not going to give ears to anything that this 20% is going to give. I'm going to concentrate on my 80% because that's what makes the difference to the district. Okay, so that is something that I would twist this 80-20 for you as a takeaway. And of course, the bonus to all this is how do we make people accountable? Now I'm not sure how many of you, we were just discussing about inclusion and diversity and everything. And then a lot of them come back to me and say, Swarna, you talk numbers. You have to show a bit of empathy. And then I'm like, okay, I can show empathy, but if you are a leader, you show me accountability. Then I will show you empathy. And we need to understand this. Many a times we are stuck in this rat race, trying to be nice to people and giving face to people who don't perform because we want to be an empathetic leader. It's not so. You have to be accountable. If someone is accountable for the role, we can take up. So I had 2 division directors. One division director who lost his job, who lost his mother, everything that happened in such a short time after he took up the division director. He came to me and he said, Swarna, I cannot do this job. Can you find someone else? But we got back to him. I discussed with his division and they said, no, we are here to step in for him. Let him take his time off, maybe 1, 2 months, 3 months, whatever. But if he promises to come back and help us whenever he can, let it be. And he promised. And he, after all that he went through, even today, doesn't have a job. But what he did was he worked so hard to get the division to become select distinguished. But I had another division director who kept coming back to me and said, every time you're talking to me about numbers, and I don't like it. You don't care about what's happening. I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do anything. And he went and closed 2 clubs that potentially could have been revived because he thought that that is how it should be. Okay. And who shows results? He didn't show result. And of course, I'm not going to be empathetic to him, but I put in all my effort to help this person who showed accountability. So as a leader, we need to show empathy to someone who shows accountability. If they don't, sorry, empathy doesn't work here. Okay. And of course, leadership is action and not position. This is something that I have learned in the last 3 months. You know, after going through all this, and then when on 30th of June, which Talhaji and Syed ji will understand, is that suddenly you are no one on 1st of July. You know, you don't have access, you have no emails coming, you don't have anything, you know, and you've really run that race so fast that you are still running and someone says, hard stop. No, you're no longer nobody, right? And that was a huge hit for me. I struggled with that. I said, what? How do I stop here? I'm still running. I want to run, right? But then I realized, hey, I can still be a leader. I don't need a position to be a leader. And that is the lesson I have learned in the last 3 months, is that I'm sharing my learnings with everyone else who's asking me for help. And I hope that your journey as a leader will be better. Now, if you're thinking all this, will it work outside of Toastmasters? I'm sure it will work outside of Toastmasters, because Toastmasters is a playing ground where you can experiment on your leadership. But you go out at work, you cannot play. So take opportunities whenever you have, take up the leadership, see how you can do good at whatever you're doing. And I'm sure your district, your club, wherever you are will benefit from your leadership. Thank you. And over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you so much, DTM Suvarna. My God. I wish we could play that over again and again and get our whole district to see it. So many valuable takeaways. Crying baby gets the milk. I'm really impressed by the achievement that you got Toastmasters to open up their dashboard for an extended period of time. We have a little contribution too, because we cried when we were at Territorial Council. We cried a lot, and that's how the contests in provisional districts gained legitimacy. Before that, we weren't even supposed to hold contests. And I told them that, you know, if you're not supposed to hold contests, what else are we supposed to do? What's the benefit of becoming a provisional district if you're not having contests? Second lesson that really, really struck my heart was accountability before empathy. You have to earn empathy by your performance, by your sincerity. It's not the other way around. And yes, we are too busy being too nice to people too much of the time. And what we end up doing is effectively compromise the interests of the members thousands of members in order to be nice to one person. So that's precisely something that we should not be doing. And I know I'll be certainly watching that again. And yes, what happens after June 30? Well, but you know what? Let me tell you one thing. Your real journey starts after that, because that's when people approach you, and that's how you know that how well you did, what impact you made, and what value you're still. And yes, as DTM Swarna said, this is a message to everyone. You don't need to be a position to be a leader, right? And yes, 20% people will always disagree with you. In fact, Swarna, you've been exceptionally lucky, because in my case, it was about 99% of the people. But anyhow, they will always disagree. Give them a separate playing ground. That's what we did. So yeah, you know, if 20% of people, they're not fitting well within your own decisions, give them something in order to exercise their decision destiny. So we will allow 5 minutes for Q&A. There's a timer, put 5 minutes on the clock. Anyone with a question, please raise your hands.
Sorry, we have only 2 minutes for question answers because the keynote speech ends at 33 minutes.
All right, but we are short of one speaker today, so we can allow five minutes. So yeah, remember, I'm the TMOD and the president. Okay. DTM Saf, sir.
Thank you very much, DTM Swarna. It's a wonderful presentations you have presented with us, and it's recalling my memory when I was serving as a district director, and I know how much tough time it is. But believe in me, when the results are coming, my challenge at that time, when I was the district director, there's number of clubs. Those are under the strength. If I'm saying they're under the strength, they are just keeping the club for certain purposes. So people surrounding me, they are saying, no, just work for those clubs. I told them, no, I'm not interested. I will create a new clubs instead of working with those particular objective-based clubs. So everyone is asking that your district is not going to become the president distinguished club or the distinguished club. So my answer to those people, those members, that I'm not after the distinguished club. I'm not after the president distinguished status of the district. I'm just after to clean it up and give a better district to upcoming district director. And believe in me, at the end of my term, our club is a president distinguished club. And among, I think it was the 12th number over the world. So if you are dedicated, if you want a purpose, what you want to achieve it, then you will get the result. If there is no purpose, why is just serving and taking up and going there? So then there is no need to take up any leadership position. If there is a purpose in your life, then go ahead and take it up. And now, what you are feeling, how you are going to contribute to the new leadership of the district.
DTM Saif, thanks for sharing this. Yes, I agree on the on what you did on cleaning. Is important. It's very important to do cleaning as well, because there are many clubs that are there just for the numbers. Paper clubs that are there. Many districts complain about it. Yeah. So to take as a district director to take the thing and say, okay, I'm going to clean it up. It also requires a lot of grit. So thank you so much for sharing that as well. Yeah, that was done by my previous DD. She said, Swarna, I'm giving you a clean sheet. And for you, there's no way of cleaning. You have to go up only. There's no down. So that was what she told me. So in her term from 235, she came to 205. So it gave me a good playground for building clubs. Of course, I did not go aggressive, but we tried to maintain and build numbers instead. Yeah, membership numbers were our focus. So thank you. Okay, now what do I do now? When I became IPDD and with so much of ideas and want to contribute and things like that, what happened was that I really didn't know what should I do. Should I keep quiet? Should I wait for what the current DD should do, and things like that? And I realized that leadership is his journey now. And I am there for him. He knows I'm there for him. He has seen certain things that work well. So he has taken certain things that are working well for his term as well. But he's trying out new things as well. So that is his play field. Let him try, experiment, and work on his thing. And I'm here to support him.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Swarnaji. Again, another lesson is distinguished by choice. And it fits perfectly on a club as well. A club with 10 or 12 very active members is far better than a club that has 35 members and only 5 of them are active. So that projects onto the district as well. And I say thank you for bringing that up. There's no shame in not doing this distinguished as long as you have a quality district. We have DTM Sudarshan with a question. DTM Sudarshan, please ask.
Yes. First of all, thank you very much for such an insightful presentation. In fact, I was sharing with Tala offline that looks like this is a report of the annual report of District 80, which is being delivered to all of us, which if this was the actual annual report, I'm sure you should pat yourself on the back. Now,
Okay.
there are two questions that I have, and as you know, I always ask a little controversial questions. First and foremost, the DCP goals for the club, for the area, for the division, for the district, in my opinion, is lopsided, primarily because TI at some level is purely trying to drive new member revenue. They are not trying to drive quality of clubs. They're not looking to drive upliftment of members. So as a division director, how did you cope with this challenge and yet reach the distinguished district status? And the second question is, in terms of your own personal preference, would you rather revive a dying club or would you invest in creating multiple new clubs? What would be, if you could do it all over again, what will be your option?
Okay, first DCP, right? DCP to me, if you see, my vision is focus on your why are you joining as a member? If you're joining Toastmasters, you want to learn, right? So I'm assuming you're here to learn something, and that's why I said one is important. Number one for any club is to make sure every club member does their projects, do at least one level, right? So that is the focus. So when you do one as a focus, that means that you're asking every member who has joined in your club to come back and say, hey, why don't you do a project this week? You haven't done it for such a long time. Why don't you come back and do it? So focus on the member is there. And VPEs realized that it was important that they should make that call. If the member is not doing, make that call and make sure the focus is on the members doing at least one level. And one level, I told them, is four projects, maximum 4 projects, right? In some cases, only 3 projects. So just focus on that. And in 1 year, it's possible to do that. So that was the focus. Now, what happened with that, Sudarshan, was that we realized clubs started to have DCP points in education. It was not so much on membership, it was education. There are 6 points of DCP in education. And we started to see members do levels 4 suddenly. Oh, I have been doing, but I never clocked in, so they went and did level 4 projects. They did level 2 project, level 3 projects. And we saw clubs go up in their education thing. So there are clubs. If you notice, mine is not 100% distinguished clubs. It was only 67%. But if you really go and see the number of points that some of the clubs have got, there were clubs which got even 8 points. That means the clubs attended, the club officers attended training, they did the admin work well, they did the education, but they didn't build membership. That's fine. Okay. That is their choice. That's why I said, right, distinguished by choice. You don't want to be distinguished, it's fine. We are not forcing you, but make sure your member grows. As a person, make sure your member grows. That was the focus. And it happened that there were some clubs who could work on their numbers and they got the membership. And ultimately, membership brings in money to the district. That's why we can give back. So naturally, that is where the revenue is. So TI is going to focus on membership, but we focused on organic growth. So I kept telling everyone, no dual members. So even I had to take a call. In fact, I stopped dual members in a few clubs because I said, I don't want this practice of, oh, this club needs 2 members to become distinguished. Please don't do that. Don't go and add membership from April, June to September. Don't do that. You cannot cheat the system. Don't cheat the system. We don't want to be distinguished that way. So when we said all this openly to the club officers, they also understood that we are not forcing them because we want to be distinguished. So those people who really helped us to become distinguished were those who put in effort to do that. Yeah. They wanted to do it and therefore they did it. Number 2 question was on what about weak clubs? I am a champion of repurposing clubs. TI will not like it, but I do it. And in fact, if you notice now, the law, TI does this officially as well. They send out list of clubs that closed in the last term to the district officer, to the trio, and say if there is an opportunity for them to revive with 3 existing members, 12 members is enough to do the club. That one TI is practicing now. Okay, and I believe that's what we do as well. So if you saw that we didn't grow, but we did have 12 new clubs. Okay, if you see from 2008 to 2011 was only 3 clubs extra, right? But actually we charted 8 clubs, 8 new clubs, but we repurposed the club number. And that's what we did. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very insightful.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We have last question from DTM Rabia. And that question is, when to stop asking for renewal? How many times should we ask before we stop? DTM Rabia, we will never stop asking for renewal. Over to you, DTM Swarna.
They ask them to come for the meeting. Rabia, that's the best way to do it. Ask them to come for meetings, ask them to do roles, ask them to do that. Then they know that you want their presence. We need to make them feel, members to feel that we are not after their money, but we are after their presence in the club. And when that feeling comes, and we genuinely ask them, hey, I want you in this club. I want to listen to your speeches. You make a difference to this club. Then the renewals would come. This is what I feel. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Because renewals is a very different thing. Some people don't renew because of personal reasons, right? But for those who don't renew, most of the time is that they do not feel belonged in the club. You should make them feel belong in the club. And how do you do that is ask them, can you come and do a project? We would love to listen to you.
I think that's amazing. That's what we do as well. And that's why DTM Rabia, you're still in the meeting. So we value participation above renewals. And I think that's the way it should be. That also partially addresses Sudarshan's concern about it not being about just numbers and renewals, but about being the quality of meetings and members. Yes, I know sometimes that it's not strictly legal to give non-paid member a stage, but let me openly admit that we violate that because, you know, we want members to come back. We want members to keep engaged, and ultimately they do come back. We don't stop assigning them roles and at the drop of a hat. Just because September 30 is gone and you're not renewed, that means the doors are closed to you. I think that's not a good thing to do. So thank you so much, DTM Swarna. Again, we can discuss and dissect and debrief that keynote till the end of time, and we'll still keep gaining new insights. I'll certainly be looking at the recording. Now we'll move on to further segments of the meeting. And the first is, of course, our prepared speeches. Our first speaker is Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. He will be delivering his icebreaker, and his lead evaluator is DTM Sudarshan. We'll have to improvise a bit for the panel evaluators. Auditory evaluator could be myself, and visual evaluator is DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. Perceptible evaluator, I would ask if DTM Rabia can be the perceptible evaluator. And some 1-minute report on how the speech impacted you. Would you be able to do that, DTM Rabia? Okay. Then let's ask DTM Ajay. Okay. So
Yes, I
you are
can
the perfect. And of course, language and structural evaluators, Toastmaster Imran Rana. So now I hand over the charge to our lead evaluator, DTM Sudarshan. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, our speaker today is going to deliver his project 1 from level 1 of strategic relationship. This is an icebreaker speech, which means this is an attempt by the speaker to introduce himself to the club and practice the art of delivering an introduction in a structured manner. The time allocated is 4 to 6 minutes. all the very best to our speaker, Toastmaster Ibrahim. And back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you so much. So, without further ado, everyone put your hands together for Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. I believe you haven't titled your speech, so it's Icebreaker. Icebreaker, Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim.
Am I audible? Just wanted to make sure before I start. Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, dear Toastmaster Talha, dear Toastmaster Imran in particular, who have been very kind and persistent in bringing me to this very esteemed club, Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmasters Master Club. This is not the first time I am delivering my icebreaker speech here. The first time I delivered my icebreaker speech here in this club was 2 years ago. And when I came to the forum for the first time, I was struggling for the topic for my icebreaker speech. And I was kind of introduced to that topic or that title or that content of that speech all by coincidence. I have come a long way from that chalk speech that I did back then. I also delivered a keynote in between, but all of that engagement has been quite inconsistent and unfortunately not the way I envisioned it to be when I first attended the meeting as an observer only to see some of the very quality speeches being delivered by other Toastmasters here on this forum. I have learned a lot from different people here and I want to continue basically on the same path. So coming back to my introduction, the first icebreaker speech I gave back then was about a content that was more about a certain aspect of my life, the way it was progressing back then. Today, I want to talk more about myself, my profile, something that I have been struggling for a while. Why I say struggle? I noticed a few years ago that I was attending meetings for my company with different consultants, different advisors. But whenever I used to talk to them about the company, I could go on and on for 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes about the company, its achievements, its trajectory, its strategy, its future plans, and a number of other issues. But when it came to introduce myself or talk about my own personal issues or my personal profile, I had a bit of difficulty in detaching myself or disentangling my profile from my career. And that was the reason why I was very much interested in improving myself on that front and coming back to myself as a person rather than just a career professional. I have been a Karachiite for the most of my life. I have moved to the Middle East for since 2007, and I have been working with a business group here. However, prior to that, and this is what I want to talk about today, I have been sort of an acceptable level of a student in my school, university, and college. And the things that interest me really are books, games, movies, and most importantly, food. The food part is more about enjoying the good quality food with the right kind of people that I can sort of have a conversation with, and the kind of people who I can have a conversation about food 5 minutes after having that meal for the planning on the next meal. But then that's, I think everyone really enjoys. On the other side, I really enjoy reading books, history books, biographies, market-related books, and some of the other, let's say, novels, which have been a big part of my life throughout, especially the spy and the spy novels mostly. And the movies that I really like about have the content on thrillers, twists and turns, and I am very much keen to watch horror movies. And I can enjoy those movies while I am alone at home, all dark. It's another story that I struggle kind of going to the bathroom afterwards, but that's another topic for a discussion later. The other thing that I really enjoy about is basically uh, time with my kids. And now the more recent focus is on improving myself on a personal front, on improving my social and communication skills. And I'm really looking forward to this new phase of my engagement with the Toastmaster International, and particularly with this Quantum Leap Advanced Toastmaster Club. And I hope to learn more and more from the esteemed people here and improve myself, and then eventually take myself to a position where I can participate in some speech contest, which I am quite used to from my school and college days. And I want to make sure that I win one of those in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. And over to you, Mr. Lee Development.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Salman, for delivering that insightful introduction to yourself. So in order for us to do justice to your efforts, we will have not one, but 4 evaluators in addition to myself who will assist in evaluating your speech and elevating it to the point where you shall walk away with accolades that you so richly deserve. So first and foremost in that panel is the person who's going to evaluate the vocal aspects of your speech, which in our language we call as the auditory evaluation. To do the honors, I will call upon DTM Talha bin Hamid to do the desiccation of your speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Talha.
Thank you so much. How serendipitous that auditory also includes audit. I'm an auditor by profession. So I'll be auditing the auditory aspects. Toastmaster Salman, I believe you sounded sincere and you had really a heartfelt quality to speak which kept us hooked from start to finish. If I were to recommend one improvement area, that would be to bring more vocal variety with the various phases of your speech, in the sense that bring some excitement, bring some more emotions. But I believe that since this is your icebreaker, it is not that important. The main important thing is to be sincere, which you were. So looking forward to your further speeches. Over to you, Mr. Leader.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Next up, we have someone that is going to evaluate the visual aspects or the presentation of the speaker by the speaker for all of our consumption. To do the honors, we have DTM Saif Ali Sheikh, who will lead the visual evaluation of this particular speech. Over to you, DTM Saif.
Thank you very much, DTM Sudarshan, and in particular Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. What I like most about as a visual aspect of your presentation, that number 1 is your smile, number 2 is your attire, and number 3, you are properly combs your hair, and the 4th thing is a virtual background. I wish I can understand that you are not reading from the laptop. So while you are sitting in front of the laptop, it's better to stand up and we can see whole your body, that how you look like. And you told us that you are the foodie one, so we can relate the food with your body size and the gestures about it. Overall, visuals are very good, and I really appreciate your attire, your smiles, your background, and that you properly counts about it. Thank you very much. Over to General Value.
Thank you very much, DTM Saif. Next up, we have an evaluator who's going to talk to us about what did this speech make him feel. To do the honors of the perceptible evaluation, we have DTM GK Ajay to take this session forward. Over to you, DTM GK Ajay.
Thank you, DTM Sudarshan. My dear speaker, Salman Ibrahim. you started your speech by sharing your Toastmasters journey, what you learned from Toastmasters and all those things, and later you moved on to your personal life, connecting your personal stories, your hobbies, your food habits, and everything. But what I suggest is you could end your speech with your ambitions, with your goals. It will give more to know more about yourself, and also it could be better if you place your speech in a chronological order, starting with yourself and then moving on to your hobbies and then your food habits and Toastmasters, then your aspirations and ambitions. It could be a properly organized speech. But however, you reminded me the after effects of watching a horror movie. I also have the same effects after watching a horror movie when I was a child. Now, nowadays, I'm avoiding them. But in childhood, cannot avoid and watch them and then later struggle a lot. So overall, it reminded few incidents from my life. And if you could implement the chronological order of delivering a speech, it will be great. Thank you. Over to you, James Suresh.
Thank you very much. And finally, to look at the language used during the delivery of the speech and the structure employed to communicate the message, we have DTM Imran Rana to lead the evaluation of the language and structure of this particular segment. Over to you, Toastmaster Imran. I know why you're smiling, but go for it. Your voice is very low. You may want to check your microphone.
I'm sure I'm audible, right?
Now clear. Yeah.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, lead evaluator, Toastmaster Salman. About your language, the way you use some amazing words, which shows that you have a good command and confidence over language. You use some amazing vocabularies like detaching, entangling, and acceptable level of student, which I don't believe, because you were quite amazing in your studies. And about the structural part, you started quite well. You connected the opening with the company's introduction, and then you introduce yourself. That it's quite difficult for you to introduce yourself in front of the audience. That was quite amazing. Throughout the speech, your content was quite inspiring and engaging, but it felt like that you ended up little abruptly because your timing was 5 minutes and something seconds. So you could have come up with a proper closing. And so next time we will see that in your future speech. Overall, amazing language you used. The structure was quite amazing. Overall, a very good structural speech. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran. And now for my summation of all the evaluations and my own 2 cents of what I felt about this particular speech. First of all, this was an icebreaker, which meant that the speaker was trying to communicate to us something about himself. And on that count, the speaker hit the ball outside the stadium. Today, I can go back from this meeting with a feeling that I know Salman Ibrahim. If I want to, or if I meet him on the street, I will say that he is a learned, well-read, erudite individual who can talk about his business eloquently, and probably just as eloquently can introduce himself, but is very self-effacing when it comes to talking about himself. And that is evident through the language that he employed all during the speech. What particularly stood out was the way he described being a middle of the road kind of a student. A middle of the road kind of a student usually does not know that he is or she is middle of the road. Therefore, clearly, Toastmaster Salman was up ahead in front of the class and could look back and see how far behind the others are. Therefore, he's communicating to us that he was middle of the road. He isn't. He is top of the class. The other particular aspect that I liked about Toastmaster Salman's delivery was his erudition came out through the language that he employed. He is well read, was what he told us, but he demonstrated the well readness of his speech, even if I create a word to describe that, by using the right set of words to embellish his speech. Last but not least, he was intelligent enough to ensure that he looks at us intently while he was sitting and delivering, and I would have preferred him to stand, but his gaze was almost as if we were at a coffee shop and he is telling me why I should do business with his company without fail and sign the contract now. And that is the intensity of his gaze which came across through the screen to me. So that's a powerful tool in his arsenal of weaponry which he can deploy. Now coming to his desire to walk away with the coveted World Championship trophy of public speaking. I think the distance between him and the trophy is just limited to the number of speeches he chooses to deliver, preferably at quantum leap, preferably on the various subjects of history that he is interested in. Because I can clearly see a path from here till that podium where he will stand aloft holding the trophy with a t-shirt which says, I am a quantum leaper. To that, all the very best, Toastmaster Salman. Go for it. We are with you. The club will ensure that you get to that stage and stay aloft holding that trophy. All the very best. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Beautiful. The evaluation was as motivating and as insightful as the speech itself. So congratulations on that. We'll just ask for Toastmaster Salman for his 1 minute feedback on the feedback. What did you feel about the feedback and how was your experience?
No, the feedback, thank you very much for all of you. I mean, this feedback was really, really helpful. And I'm aware of the issue with the structuring part, and I have been struggling with the personal narrative on that front, and I'll continue to struggle for a while till as Toastmaster Sudarshan mentioned, the number of speeches that I deliver. So thank you very much to everyone. I'll hope to continue working on all the suggestions, and will come out better in the next speech, inshallah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Salman. We certainly look forward to you struggling even more, because that will really, really give us insights and entertain us even more. Now we move on to our second speaker of the day, Toastmaster Navish Azim. She will be delivering evaluation and feedback part 2. In this project, a speaker speaks and receives some evaluation, and that evaluation has certain points in which the speaker is supposed to improve upon in the part 2 of the speech. So, Toastmaster Navish, would you like to highlight which were the parts which you would want to improve in this part of your project?
Okay, so this is the project 4 of my level 1, and my pathway is dynamic learning, leadership. And I gave this first speech in the Quantum Club, and I received feedback around some eye contact and like on the posture part. And so I'll be implementing those points that were established.
So eye contact and posture were the improvement points. Your lead evaluator is DTM GK Ajay. Your auditory evaluator is Toastmaster Imran Rana. For visual evaluator, I would request if Swarna ji can provide her input on the visual. Toastmaster DTM Swarna. Great. Thank you so much. And for language and structure, I would like to challenge Mr. Salman Ibrahim. So, Toastmaster Salman, you're there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, great. So you'll have 1 minute to evaluate Toastmaster manages language and structure of the speech. All right. And auditory is, of course, the audio aspects, voice, vocal variety, clarity of words, and all that. So without further ado, let's hand over the charge to our lead evaluator, DTM GK Ajit.
Thank you, DTM Talha. Today, Toastmaster Nazish Azim is delivering a speech from level 1 of dynamic leadership path, and the project is feedback and evaluation. This is her second speech. She has already delivered the speech and got the feedback or evaluation, and she is now trying to incorporate those evaluations or feedback into the current speech. And the speech title is When Silence Speaks Louder Than Words. So when silence speaks louder than words, Toastmaster Nazish Azim, I wish you all the best. Over to you.
Thank you. Silence class, and put your finger on your lips. You must have heard this sentence quite often, if you or your classmates were not. My topic for today revolves around silence. So that took me back to those school days, and it must have brought some nostalgia for you as well. Okay. You must have heard that action speaks louder than words. But sometimes have you considered that silence speaks even louder? I discovered this truth as a child when I was attending a family dinner. And my grandfather sat quietly and barely touching his food. No one said anything, but his silence screamed something isn't right. It was the first sign that he is angry on someone. In that moment, I realized that feedback isn't delivered in loud voices or bold statements. Sometimes the most powerful feedback comes in the form of silence. When I was a child, I really liked to experiment with food. So it wasn't that easy as today to just follow the short videos and follow the recipe. So what I used to do was I used to cut out recipes from the Sunday magazine that used to come to my house. And when all the ingredients were gathered, I used to try that recipe. And usually the kitchen ended up in complete chaos after I was done with my adventures, with raw ingredients lying around, dishes scattered. And when my dish was ready, I used to walk out without giving a second thought to this whole scenario. One evening, when I was almost done with such an adventure, my mother walked in. And she stood there for a while. She looked around. She shook her head. And instead of scolding or nagging, which was how I was expecting, she said nothing. She walked away. That silence spoke for me even louder than any lecture ever could. It had a sense of disappointment that struck me harder than any words. I felt a pang of guilt. And from that day forward, I made a conscious effort to tidy up alongside. It was her silence that taught me to understand the responsibility that I have to take for my actions. I really miss her silence more than her conversations. The power she had to convey it all without creating a huge scene, which really kept our household peaceful. I'm trying to practice that with my child as well, but I barely think I could reach her level. And I feel like I sometimes wonder also that how she was able to raise me without so much of scolding, even hitting, not even once. Her silence was her strength, and it lasted an impact on me. During my first job at my office, I had a manager who used to barely give any verbal feedback. After the completion of a big project, I expected a long list of comments. Or at the very least, good job. But what I got was a note and silence. I felt frustrated. Why isn't she saying anything? It wasn't until a colleague pulled me aside and said, if she isn't saying anything, that means you have done it right. It took me a moment to appreciate that silence can be a sign of trust and approval. It made me learn that you have to trust in your abilities without constant validation. And sometimes such a situation also happens at home during lunch or dinner. Whenever I try a new recipe, I always eagerly look for the feedback as soon as everyone has started to eat. More often than not, the feedback does not come on its own. So I ask on my own, how's it? And the feedback that I get is, if we are eating it silently, that means it's good. So my fellow Toastmasters, silence isn't always a void. Sometimes it's a message. It can convey disappointment. It can provide comfort. Or it can offer a challenge. It forces us to look within ourselves. Understand what is communicated without words. So, the next time you encountered silence, don't rush to fill it. Instead, take a moment to feel, understand, and listen. Because what I have learned is when silence speaks, it often tells us what is exactly meant to be heard. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Navish. And over to you, DTM.
Thank you, DTM Talha. So in order to evaluate the speaker, I have a team, and I would like to request the auditory evaluator, Toastmaster Imran Rana, to provide his feedback on the auditory part. You are on mute, Imran Rana. Still on mute. We can't hear you.
Okay, can you
Yes.
confirm my audibility?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, great. So thank you so much, lead evaluator, fellow Toastmasters and guests. Toastmaster Nazish delivered quite a one speech. So as per the auditory part, her vocal variety was clear and her body language were perfectly aligned with the flow of the speech, especially the hand gestures and the eye contact. But however, I observed that she most of the time clasping her hand. So it shows nervousness, but it is always suggested to have them steeple or let them straight. Overall, good vocal variety, your body language were perfectly aligned, plus a wonderful speech delivered. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Toastmaster Imran Rana. And as per the agenda, the visual part is from DTM Film, but she is not there. DTM Talha, any replacement for that? You are on mute.
Sorry, it's been done by DTM Swarna.
Oh, okay. May I request DTM Swarna to provide the visual evaluation of the speaker, please?
Thank you, DTM Ajay. Naj's speech was profound in terms of how she delivered it in voice and in body language. So I shall concentrate on the body language. When I look at it, both intentional and non-intentional, her intentional body language was very clear. When she wanted to show low and high, she used her hand gestures well. When she had to show different stage in the stage presence, she also moved in her place to show where she was talking in a conversation. She also had a good eye contact wherever required. So body language, intentional body language was very, very good. However, there were some places where I noticed that there was a distraction in where she was looking. That may be because we are presenting online. So I could see that there were no eye contact in some places, and she was looking somewhere else when she was actually delivering her speech. So just to pay attention, online is important to look at the camera so that the eye contact can be well established. All the best. Thank you. And over to you, Ajay.
Thank you, DTM Swarna. Now let's move on to the next aspect of the evaluation, that is perceptible. So for this, may I request DTM Saif Ali Sheikh to provide his evaluation, please?
Thank you very much, DTM Ajay, and in particular Toastmaster Nazish. Toastmaster Nazish, I perceive where you are. Oh, you are here. Okay, I perceive that throughout your presentation, you was calm, composed, and confident. It's mean you know the subject and you know how to deliver the subject. And you share your personal stories, your grandfather's, your story, your office stories, so many stories. And stories always giving the impact to the audience. I have seen and noticed about that that in the the same project there was a suggestions for you to improve your eye contact, and unfortunately I have noticed that more than 10 after the 10th time you just looking at the ceiling one. So I stopped counting after that one. At least you look it up on the ceiling at 10 times. So make the eye contact in directly in toward the camera. So we feel that you're making the eye contact with us. Overall, it was a good and I perceive about you that normally the women are the fast pace, and your pace is a little slow, less than the man's pace. And I think your pace was 80 words per minute. So increase that one at least 160 word per minute because you're a woman, and the man having a 120 word per minute. By this, I hand over control back to our lead evaluator, DTM Ajay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And for structural and language evaluation, may I request Salman Ibrahim to provide his feedback?
Well, I believe that the speaker had very good command over English, over the language, which is reflected by the use of the words which are not very, which exhibit that yes, somebody knows what they are talking about, especially when they were connecting the metaphors with the right kind of background. So that's what I really liked about the speech. What I feel could be improved here onwards, and I think that was a bit of an unintentional slip up there, because it was kind of a mix up on the conditional sentences where the grammar was a little bit some of an area that could be improved. Because in some of the cases it was right, the other cases it was not. So the slip-ups were more unintentional rather than showing that the person didn't know how it worked. So I'm sure that they'll work on that for the next speech. Over to you, Toastmaster Ajay.
Thank you, Toastmaster Salman speaking. Moving on to my evaluation as a lead evaluator. Congratulations, Toastmaster, for your speech. Action when silence speaks louder than words. You started your speech by comparing action speaks versus silence speaks. That took me to your speech. You started with a personal incident, how your grandfather got angry and how he showed his anger through silence. Then you moved on to your cooking part, recipe, cutting recipe from the magazines and preparing that recipe on your own, and then how your mother kept silent, and then how you understood her part, decoding her silence. And you also spoke about the impact of silence, what impact it made you, silence made you on you. And what surprised me is the manager silence at work. We could have tweaked this part a little bit because managers needs to be either vocal or maybe through emails they have to communicate the feedback to the team members or the employees. Being silent is not a good for leader. So you can think on this part, particularly on the manager part, how we can make more value to the manager part, and so that made me to think on these things. And there are few recommendations for you as well. Your voice is a little bit low. You could have either place your mic on that scarf, above the scarf, so that your voice can be audible a little bit louder. And you could have added a quote in the beginning or in the middle or in the end, because quotes add more value to the speech. This is what I feel. And at times you're looking down, maybe at the notebook or maybe thinking something, you're looking down at times. Try to avoid this thing. And I also feel that you stuck to the curtain behind, because I feel that there is a little space between the curtain and the table. So maybe push the table little forward so that you can have lot of space, and you don't need to go back because your movement are disturbing the curtain, like it is touching the curtain. So if you can free up your space, you can have good postures from the feedback one, and you can have a good body language. Okay, so eye contact is good, but we could work on the postures part. Then your speech will move on to the next level. This is all about my evaluation. Now, I would like to hear from you about the evaluations given so far. How you feel like, is it reasonable, or any comments on that?
Well, on my part, I must say that it was a quite comprehensive evaluation. And I really like that the sections are divided among the evaluators. So we can get different perspective from each and every person in focusing one particular subject area. So I will definitely work on the eye contact more, because that's what I have felt and I have gathered overall from all the evaluators that I at times have looked up or maybe down and not directly towards the camera. So I will definitely look forward to that part.
Thank you, Naznesh Azim. With this, the evaluation part is done. Over to you, DTM Talha.
Thank you so much. Now we are quickly moving on to the table topic section. And our table topic master for today is none other than DTM Saif. In the meantime, I'll also be floating the polls for best evaluator and best module evaluator. Please vote. And over to you, DTM Saif. DTM Saif, are you there?
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
here. If you look at
Of
the
course,
clock,
sir.
if you look at the clock, it's at 12:51. And
Yes. Yes.
do you want to continue as a table topic master?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We have 5 minutes over time according to the schedule. So please continue. And we'll wind up within the time designated on the agenda.
Okay, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Let me share something in the chat. Where is the chat? So, do you know what is the theme of the day? Is a heavy is a crown. So you have to select the category first, then I will give you the topic from my mobile. So I have a list of so many topics today, and we don't have the audience, but each and everyone is going to get the chance to speak on the topic. And the first is Latif Mansoor Ali. You select the category. Leadership and responsibility, the price of a fame, royalty and power, metaphorical crown, personal challenges. Your topic from which? You are mute. Toastmaster Latif, you are mute. Unmute yourself.
DTM Chef, all yours. Whatever you feel, the category,
Oh,
whatever
you have the
topic.
five. You have the five categories. Just give me the one. I will select the
Yeah,
topic
in the chat box.
in the chat box.
Okay, then I'll go with the least challenging one. Personal challenges.
Personal challenges. And the question for you, Toastmaster Latif, table topic questions for you is: what are the heaviest burdens you have had to carry? What are the heaviest burdens you have had to carry? Over to Toastmaster Latif.
Thank you, DTM Chef. The heaviest burden, what I always have, is my past.
Okay.
Wherever I've been there, being my parents, my bosses, my current bosses, or maybe I'm the most loyal person, because of course by nature we are not we cannot change our parents, but on professional also I haven't changed my company. So I've been into the same company for the last 20 years, and whatever I started in the beginning of, like, the first initial years, that is just hitting me back. So whatever I do good has curtains, and the one which I do sometimes, a little error or few miss out on the reading of the emails or replying on the some conditions, that comes, like, the first few days always hit me back, saying, you are always careless, you are always like this, you always are, neglecting things. You always take things easy. So my always been a challenge is that my past does not let me go from that. Even I've tried a lot to improve. Even I've tried a lot to give back to the company of whatever my potentials are. I've limited my social gatherings, but still somehow whatever that past is, it's always challenging. So my go-to word to all those people around here, just make a metaphor saying, I don't care. I care about my salary and it should pay back my expenses. Thank you very much. Over to you, distinguished
Thank you
Toastmaster sir.
very much, Toastmaster Lateef. I don't care anything, but I care about my salary. Let's move to the second table topic table topic speaker, and I'm going to select a category for him by myself. And table topic speaker is Toastmaster Tala because he's the one who come up with the theme. And the topic for him with the category of metaphorical crowns. What does it mean to you? Wear the crowns of success. What does it mean to you? Wear the crown of success. Over to DTM Tala.
Thank you so much, Mr. Table Topics Master. Wearing the crown of success is not a crown at all. That crown is not on your head. It is in your heart and in the hearts of people around you. For me, that is the crown of success. We can have all sorts of worldly titles and positions and achievements, right? But ultimately, what matters to me and the purpose of anyone's existence is the impact that they leave on the world around them. That can be on a grand scale, or that can be on just one person. Because sometimes, even without you knowing, when you're talking to a person, you change their life. And sometimes, when we are talking to someone, they change our life for us. One tiny insight, one tiny form of encouragement, one tiny caution, that results in a butterfly effect. And that is why I believe that crowns are not necessary, because crowns come with a visual representation of what you have. And sometimes that in itself is a burden. Have you ever felt when you are driving in your car and you have 3 empty seats and there is approximately 20 or 25 people standing on a bus stop waiting for a bus and failing to find it? Have you ever felt that sometime, somewhere, something is deeply unbalanced? Yes, you can tell yourself all you want that, this car was given to me by God and it is a reward, for example, of my hard work or something like that. But still, that does not take away the injustice. And I know that we cannot, by ourselves, put an end to all those injustices. But perhaps we can make a little bit of a difference, one person at a time. And I believe that is the real crowning achievement. Over to you, table topics.
Thank you very much. What a wonderful ending. Let's make the difference in the life of the other, even it's a tiny one. And my next target is Toastmaster TTM Ajay. Select the category.
Sir, I would like to go for personal challenges.
Again, personal challenges. Okay.
Yes, sir.
The question for you: how have you overcome challenges in your life? How have you overcome challenges in your life?
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the topic. How I came overcame the challenges in my life. Let me take every person has challenges in his or her life because life doesn't go smooth. It's not a cakewalk. Um, so coming to me, like I face a lot of challenges professionally, personally as well. When it comes to professional thing, I work for a corporate, and of course, corporate politics is there. So at one point of time, my team uh, backstabbed me and then doing politics behind me. So at that time, I resorted to Toastmasters club meetings because my office has a club, and then I used to take uh, lot of positivity from those meetings and come back and then work for myself. Fortunately, after 2 years, of course, 2 years is a long struggle. After 2 years, I was changed into another team, and then that's how I flourished. When it comes to personal challenges, I always depend on God because I'm a little bit spiritual, and whenever a challenge or issue comes, I uh, definitely pray God to give strength so that I can face the challenge strongly in a more better way. So these are the things which I do when I face the challenges in my personal or in professional. So Toastmasters is one of my favorite part to get rid of all those bad things. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster DTM Ajay. And my next target is, you believe it or not, that he is always smiling for anything and everything. And do you know who is this one? He's a Toastmaster Imran Rana.
Imran Rana.
Toastmaster Imran Rana, select the category, then I will select the question for you.
I'm not smiling.
Loudly, please.
You can select topic for me. Let's hope. You can select any topic for me.
From the category, there are 5 categories.
If I'm
The
able
price of
to
a
speak
fame.
on that.
The price of a fame is okay. Okay, for you.
Sorry,
the
come
question,
again.
the category is
sir,
the price of a fame.
Yeah.
Okay, the question for you. What are the downsides of being famous? What are the downsides of being famous? Over to Toastmaster Imran Anand.
What are the downsides of being famous? Okay, quite a tricky topic for me. Thank you so much for the topic. The downsides of being
Not
famous.
the side, downside.
Downside of being famous.
Yes.
I wish. Downside. Could you give me a little bit of explanation so that I can
When
speak?
we are becoming a famous, then the crowd is among us. Left side, right side, it's difficult
Okay.
for the famous people going in the shopping mall.
Okay. So the downside of being famous, I wish I was one of that famous personality. But what I feel that when anyone is famous, then the downside of that part would be he won't have his personal life. So whenever he goes, he will be crowded around the people, and he will struggling to have some of his me time. So like we observed that okay, I remember one of the incident. I was traveling from Lahore to Karachi, and there was a famous star. You won't believe who she was. She was Myra. At first, I didn't recognize her. I was sitting at a place where two girls were sitting beside me, and there was one empty space near to the window. I always love to have a window seat in aeroplane because I love the scenic beauty. So I was waiting for that passenger, and I was praying that she should be a woman, so that I would request her to switch the seat with me. Then she came, and she was covering herself. She was wearing a mask. She was pretending that she was trying to pretend that nobody will recognize her. Then when she was putting her luggage, then I request her, can you do me a favor? Can we switch the seat so that I could sit there and you can easily take my seat along with girls? She didn't say anything. When she spoke a word, I said, Mahira. Then what happened? She said, shh, shh, shh. I was sitting there because nobody wants, I don't want to be recognized by anyone. So that's the main downside of being popular or being famous. So then she thanked me. She showed her face and she said that, yes, I was Myra, and thank you so much for not switching the seat. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Imran. I wish some two girls are sitting behind me and the Myra came. Okay, next question, and it is the last question. And the category I'm going to select is that royalty and power. And the table topic speaker is Salman Ibrahim. And Salman Ibrahim, the category is royalty and power. And the topic for you is, what is the relationship between power and corruption? What is the relationship between power and corruption? Over to Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim.
Well, as I know, thank you very much, Toastmaster Saif. As it's a very well-known saying that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. However, I see the relationship between the power and corruption to be regulated or checked by your moral compass. So if you have a moral compass that is guided by a, a regime that doesn't really care about let's say, somebody who is going to be aware of what you are able to do and what you are actually doing. So the moment you realize that your moral compass guardian or your moral compass monitor is yourself and your connection with the God, that's where the regulation or the mechanism to stop corruption as a result of power comes in. There are a number of people within even a small organization who enjoy tremendous amount of power despite not enjoying, let's say, a position formally. However, and then they can talk to their bosses, they can talk to their colleagues about other colleagues, about different policies, about this and that, and yet they refrain from backbiting their colleagues, or they stop from affecting their careers negatively just because they have that moral compass guiding them. And I think this is what we need to keep in mind, that the moral compass is something that we need to put in place ourselves. And it can be in personal life, it can be in professional life, it can be anywhere. It's not just that a political power is the thing that breeds political corruption. No, even personal power can result in personal level of corruption. And that's where we need to be very conscious about. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Salman Ibrahim. The purpose for developing such topic is to correlate with the theme, and the theme is heavy is the crown, and all the topics are related to heavy is the crown. Over to by this timer reports and the vote counter reports.
While I was timing, all the speakers were qualified.
Except you, Imran. So yeah, I'm floating the poll.
I was telling the story about Myra, and everyone was so engrossed in it.
Okay. So everyone, please vote for at least 2 speakers, and we have few participants. So we need a result. So at least for two of your favorite speakers, so that we have a result, and floating the poll. And yeah, so now we are on to the last segment of the meeting, which is the journal evaluation. Over to you, DTM GK Ajit.
Thank you, DTM Talha. So may I request the timer to submit the timer report, please? Just tell on an overview because we are running short on time, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so one prepared speaker and myself were overtime. The keynote speaker took 45 minutes, the whole session, the speech and the question answer session. Rest are within time. Rest were within time.
So thank you, DTM. Thank you, Imran Rana. Hope you will be DTM soon. Okay, so moving on to my report, the meeting started on time on a good note, very positive note. The presiding officer, DTM Talha, explained about how the club started, the basics of the club, the foundations of the club, and its uniqueness in the Toastmasters fraternity of Pakistan, and how champions emerged, like Imran Rana and DTM Kiran Rizvi emerged from the club and represented the club at the district level contest. And guest introduction was good, was done properly, and every guest was given a chance to introduce themselves. And of course, wonderful keynote speech from GTM Swarna. I learned so many things like keynote speeches, and then personally, I feel that I can take two things like early bird catches the day. Keep asking until you get what you want, and uh, the crying baby gets the things what she wanting. And I also like the 20% effort and 80% results concept. So also it's like a report, but it's very inspiring report, and it shows her efforts in leadership when she led the whole district. So, and moving on to the prepared speeches and evaluations, they're really good. And keeping time in mind, I would like to cut short the general evaluation part and would like to hand over the control to DTM Talha. Back to you, DTM.
Thank you so much for that succinct report in keeping with our schedule. So quickly, I'll ask Toastmaster Lateef for the language evaluator report.
Thank you, Toastmaster of the day. I'll rush through what the language evaluator does. Is most likely of the grammarian role. So things which I really loved it, where passion needs purpose. I will be auditing the auditory, value proportion of canvas. What are the functional, social, emotional reasons people join Toastmasters? Distinguished by choice, communication, collaboration, and consistency. Intentional, unintentional. Leadership is an action, not a position. Toastmaster is a playground. Valuable giveaways struck my heart. Don't cheat the system. Of the speaker, by the speaker. I feel one of the most important was the language, which I feel I just want to correct it. This is the correction of the grammar. A speaker said some of the very quality. So I will say some of the quality. Very is not required. One of the speaker or one of the introduced said feedback on the feedback. So I will say views on the feedback of the speeches. One thing which I don't, which I kept myself aside was the two speakers. If they have, because they had the evaluators for the language also. But I just want to add the value, what I feel good about those two speakers, Nazish and Salman. I love the natural voice they have. They both have a very good voice tone. It's really natural. I don't see them like, making it a a voice. So use this to the maximum potential. And the accent, I really love the accent, because both of you, when you were saying the words, it was really clear. It was not making up the accent. It was a true natural accent which I felt. So this is the report which I have. Thank you for the opportunity. Over to you, Toastmaster of the Day.
Thank you so much for that brilliant report, Toastmaster Lateef. That was insightful. And that brings the meeting to an end. And thank you so much, everybody, for sticking out. We'll just end with a few comments. First, comment from Toastmaster Nazish about the meeting.
As I stated in the start, that it is my first online experience, and I found it quite delightful, as I find the on-site ones full of energy and everybody is participating so well. And the change that I have from the meetings that I usually attend, they're just one evaluators for each speaker assigned. But over here, I saw that there are different evaluators for different sections. So this is something that was a different experience. And I must say that it comes up with more comprehensive feedback, which can really help the speaker to improve.
Thank you so much, Toastmaster Nazish. It's a delight to have you. You are a brilliant speaker. And the advantage with having an online club like this is that we have people from all around the world. In fact, we have Ajay from India, and we had Swarna from Singapore, we have Salman from Saudi, and that's just a few of the members. So that's one advantage that we have with online clubs. Now, without further ado, I would ask, okay, Toastmaster Salman, how did you feel about the meeting? Then I'll announce the results.
Well, thank you very much for the necessary push to go ahead and with the speech delivery. The meeting was, as always, really enjoyable. The feedback was very constructive, very helpful, and I'm really looking forward to similar kind of stints in future and improve further from here onwards.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thoroughly grateful for your presence. And as a demonstration of the fact that all you need to do is turn up, let me announce that you are the winner of the best prepared speaker. And congratulations. Toastmaster Nazish actually exceeded her allotted time. Otherwise, I'm sure it would have been a tough contest, but yes, turning up and qualifying counts for a lot. So congratulations. Best evaluator today goes to DTM Ajay. Congratulations. Best table topics is a tie between myself and Salman. So I will let that tie stay, because as a vote counter, if I break that tie, it will be a conflict of interest. All right. Best modular evaluator today goes to DTM Saif Ali Sheikh. Congratulations. And finally, best major role player goes to our table topics master once again, DTM Saif. So with that, we bring this meeting to an end, 3 minutes behind schedule. And let me also share one more thing, that in today's agenda, there was an error. The allocated time of the keynote plus Q&A was correct, but the time after that was slightly miscalculated. So in effect, we are within time. That said, let's not mention that we missed one speech and we missed the geek of the week. Okay. So see you all in 2 weeks' time, and in the meantime, you're more than welcome to participate in any of the other meetings that we have, which we will keep posting on the club store. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a nice, wonderful weekend.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Toastmaster Lateef.